And I managed to solve it. The rest of 2 weeks actually helped. I came with a fresh head, played it 3 times, figure out where the mistake is, and we solve it in one challenge. How you doing, Melly? I know latency. But yeah, you brought your people to suffer watching math problems. From the food to the math. I wish I had soundboard. I would play the whip now. I need to set up soundboard. Soundboard would be nice. Like some basic 10-ish sound effects. Because I would play... We feed the soul, then rot the mind with the math. Yeah. So, I had one thing that we added one bump minus because we had a problem with that. And it turned out I need to do one more check, and we did it. Like we had this check here. And it worked. It was very simple. Just fresh mind showed me solution instantly. And we did it, and first challenge was beaten by 1. They wanted me to do in 28. I did it in 27 steps in total. The second problem is speed. We do it over 100. I think we do it in like 501, and they wanted it 399. And that's averaging steps taken. Not for these 3 numbers, but for the global query of numbers. So what we need to do, we need to do less per number, and I'm thinking about it. I had the idea that we just write a bunch of prime numbers, and then we check every number that we pull, because I saw 7, right? Okay, let me play you once, so you can see it, how it works. So we first, the base setup, right, before the white line. And then we inbox the first number, in this case 7. We place it in a test, and then we put these. Divider, we are starting with 1, and that's something working. Count, bump it to 2, because that's the first prime number. This overwrite is useless, but we need it still. And now we are dividing it by subtracting constantly, right? And then here we are also checking, and if it's ever negative, it means that's not proper, because there is point something, right? Then we bump divider and do it again. Basically, this is gonna put, because 7 is prime number, it's always gonna be it's not gonna be clean divider, I don't know how to call it. So it's always gonna be minus here until we reach the 7. So that's how it knows. Odd number. Yeah, I forgot, like that, like when you have decimals, basically, right? Seven divided by 5 is 1 point something, right? We want 1. It's not going to 0, it's checking if it's 0. We are doing the check. Every time we place the new number, we do subtraction these 2 numbers. And it's checking. Right? So this is working. We set up this and it's fully working. We have properly done the task of you get a number and you send prime factors of that number. Where the game is not being... So we are checking here 1, 1 because of some legal issues. Where the game is not proper with this is numbers like 12. And probably some higher numbers. Because prime factors of number 12 is 2 and 3. Which is but why 2 and 3? Because it's 2 and 6. 6 is not a prime number. 6 is 2 and 3. Right? The game is accepting for me to do 2, 2, 3 as output of the 12. And that's I already have solution for it, but it's kind of painful and long to do it otherwise. I thought my ass went, but the room is moving in again. There is a broken corner, so the wind and the shit is going through the room, and that's maybe giving you that effect. Maybe there was a small shake. I could accept that in a game, but I didn't notice it. No, the whole room is shaking. Okay, all test with the mouse. Find a nice edge. Oh, it is moving. Holy crap, I didn't even notice that. You know, all tests when there is a loading bar. The whole room. We are in very tall building. I never noticed that. Not the moment. The background story is something about robots taking the world. I don't know. I didn't know. Right? Okay. I mean, it's basically working, right? You can see what it does. We don't need to go through it again. Okay. So the problem is what we need to do to make this faster. Logical thing is we are checking with numbers that are not prime. Because we're bumping divider by 1. 2 is prime, 3 is prime, 4 is not, and then we go to 5, which is. 6 is not, right? So we are getting to those problems. Avoiding those numbers would be good. I don't know how. As I said previously, making string of prime numbers would help, but I'm afraid that making string of prime numbers would add way too much work that would potentially not pay off. Other thing that I was thinking is we are starting with 1 and then bumping it. What if we start with 2? We're gonna lose that one step of bumping it every time. Doesn't sound like much, but it's gonna speed it up. But I think the big problem with this is obviously that we are checking every number, not just prime numbers. But the game doesn't know what prime numbers are, so we can't like just ask her to check prime numbers. Plus, there is not enough space for me to write all the prime numbers. It's in infinite, probably. I don't know, is it infinite? I don't know enough about it. I don't know, so that doesn't sound like a great idea. I mean, start is always gonna be... No, yeah, the big prime, like, imagine what's the biggest prime number that we can think of, right? Like, whatever it is, some big prime number. We are dividing... Let's try string. I'm thinking string is a good solution, but we don't have enough space. Because prime numbers, there is a lot of them, right? We have this as a space. And if that's what's throwing me off, Rompos, from that idea, is that what I'm gonna do once we run out of space. It would be easy, like I could set up temp, test, divider, count 1, and use 0 as a string end, right? We start from 5, and we do that as a big string. Do it up to... Wait. Do it up to inbox. I'm not sure I understand that. Do it up to the number that it's coming. Yeah, but to check it, you need to set up the string first. Like this before the white line is set up, right? We need to set up string of prime numbers first. And that's manual work, right? We have copy 0 here, bump it twice, copy 2 here, bump it once, copy copy 3 here, add 2 to it, or add these 2, place there, and then add 2 to this, place it there, and we would write everything, right? That manual job. And why I'm doing it in front, because that setup is not counted for every number, right? If I do that whole setup, as you said, up to the inbox, is problem in the sense of it's gonna do it in every job. You're gonna have much slower task than, well, potentially slower task. I'm just, like, I don't know how far the game goes, but let me do it, like, prime numbers. Give me a sec. Prime numbers. Okay, so 2, 3, 5, blah, 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 97 is the last one. There is, like, in 100 there is 30-ish prime numbers. You cannot do strings. Like, I was thinking in a sense of, we have this setup, right? That's bumping one this. If I do prime numbers, and once it reaches 0, it goes back to the setup of bumping it up. That could potentially work, but that seems way too complex. Which doesn't mean we shouldn't try it. Because, like, just think about it, how crazy it is, how many checks we do with to get to 97. And prime numbers are exponentially going to be higher and higher and higher, right? You're skipping numbers, going to higher numbers. So if we knew the full query of what the game is using for this, because I don't think the game is going to infinites, we could potentially work it like a cheat code almost, right? Because we would know the perfect query of numbers they are using, right? The game could work 200, 250, because they are inputting the numbers that are not prime numbers, not only prime numbers, sorry. So there is that logic, but it doesn't make much sense game related. Other option that I kind of like, and I think we could make something with it, divider were to be the 2 instead of 1. But then we would need to move the bumpings. It would ask a lot of work. This one is challenges as hell to get around to. Because we have very simple thing made. It was focused on just making it work. There is probably some stuff that we can avoid here. Maybe that's a solution. Because I often do these over and over because for the resets I need to. Right, but in some cases, like this case, it's an end goal, right? It's an end goal if the check is not 0, right? But if I do it differently, I feel we should have this being a 0. So basically what that means, when we are doing this, is sub. That's our check. What I'm thinking is bump count to be between these two. And then we can lose this and this. So I'm thinking just to work on what we have. Right? But also in that case, if I want to work with bump divider, I need to do it also at a later point. Also probably there. We're gonna go bump bump and then go up. That's actually smart. So what would that mean? I do one more here, and this is called 2 at that point. You know what? Let's do that. Let's just do that because that's simple enough that we can do it fast. Probably run some tests and fix some errors. But like this here shouldn't affect... Well, it would, right? Because if we are doing late count, it's going to be one number less than what it is, right? When it's 0, it's going to be one count less. We can't do that unless we are starting here with 1. But then we are not deleting this, but... Huh. I hope this makes any sense. I'm trying to explain, to say everything I'm thinking. And also, I don't think that would save much. It would save this, and that's 1 per whatever we have here. Which again, it's hard to tell based on... because we don't know the query. Like, I'm thinking now saving from this. Right? Because also that's quite often done. Well, sub. So I'm trying how to save it from there. That. Like, this is a save from that, but then we have a problem, as I said earlier, when it's 0. I mean, I can make another bump count. But then it's not saving this. Because if I don't have this bump count, this is gonna be one number less than it needs to, right? I mean, let's test it. That one switch in position. Well, 13 is a prime, so... it's not gonna work for this, so let's get something that's not prime. Okay. So it's gonna end up being 2 and 1. Right? We're not gonna output 2, 2. We're gonna output 2 and nothing else. There is this rewriting that's annoying, but that's only for the first time we do it. We kinda have to. Because of the resets. But that's also... I know it... Wait, how is 2? Okay, is this... Stop. Let's do one by one. So we now don't need a... Wait. Did I just solve this? But I don't understand why. I need to go back manually. Because I was talking. This is what I wanted. How is this 2? Give me a sec. Let's do it from start. When did you get that to be 2? Okay. So that's a reset. After we placed it. We bump divider because the 1 is not something you take and everything is gonna be right with if you divide it by 1 eventually. Yeah, sure. This feels unnecessary. I feel I could potentially save maybe this. I think maybe this one is unnecessary too. Need to test it only with that. Okay. When did you bump it twice? Oh, because it is above the negative. Wow, okay, that's huge, that's huge, that's huge, that's huge. So I don't need this. Play it fast. Just to see if there is error and what the number is going to be if there isn't. There is an error. And it was kind of obvious because I don't know how you got... Yeah, that's obviously... How the hell we went... What did I do? What did I have up? Okay, so we started. Yeah, I don't know how this went. Hail Mary. Bump it. Copy it. Oh, that copy to test is the problem. That's why we can't do it there. Because we need whatever is here. Yeah, okay, now I know where I have it up. I mean, I could set up copy from here, but I don't know if that's saving us time. No, it's not copy from count. We can't do that. Oh, that's a problem. I didn't saw that. And yeah, this is not working, the negative one. I can't do that. We are checking sub, we are not checking bump. So I can't do that. Oops. Wrong one. Sorry about that. And since we beat it, we don't need to listen to it again. So we made changes, we just go paste over it and it go back to what it was. Ooh, tough one. Seems it's like so tightly made that we don't really have much options for fixing it here. But this is a good option because we do lose few steps, right? To lose that, but yeah, all the checks are related to sub that we are after the sub what we are holding in our hands. So potentially that bump would go after the copy to test. But the problem with that is I don't know, will it work good? Like if I move it here, we are still having this. Well, we can't do 5. Let's do the number that's not the prime number. Just to see what I have up, right? We are trying to fix something that we don't need to fix, just to try to see will that affect the speed. So it should be 210. And 10 becomes the temp number after that. We need it to be temp number 2. Temp and test. And then we do the 2, 5. So 20 is 2, 2, 5, right? We lost a bunch of you guys. Obvious. See, it's 9. That's the problem. Here is the problem. Stop. If it's 0, we would need to bump it once more for it to work. So that's what I said, another bump here. Because we still need to bump it if it's 0. There is logic going with 1 and then minus it. It would work, but we don't want to go with 1 to be avoiding this. So let's try that. I wish we can keep what we have when I... So here, which only applies if it's 0. Otherwise it's jumping no matter what.